It's time to strap our boots on. This is a perfect day to die. Wipe the blood out of our eyes. In this life there's no surrender, and there's nothing left for us to do. Find the strength to see this through. We are the ones who will never be broken. With our final breath, we'll fight to the death. We are soldiers, we are soldiers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lure Entertainment Interviews with Soldiers. I have here Mr. Dr. Steve Wollett. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
Trying not to bang my head against the wall, but we're doing good. So, tell me, Steve, what branch of the military did you serve with?
I was with the U.S. Army from 1986, 87 to 92.
92. Where all
Yeah.
did you go when you were traveling? When
Germany, all over the U.S.
So, what interesting stories do you have for us today?
Well, probably the most interesting thing I did was monitoring embassies. So there's stuff I can talk about there that's not classified. So that would be probably the cool stuff. I wasn't in any combat or anything of that nature. None of the work I did was extremely dangerous. It was mostly sitting in the back of a van, listening to people have conversations in other languages.
So it was almost like the what was that? The wiretapping for Nixon.
Similar stuff. A lot of the stuff I did was with the Russian embassy. We would sit outside 48 hours on, 48 hours off, listen to the conversations that were going on. When diplomats were going to places like staying at a hotel, we would rent the room right next to them and be listening through the wall. And they knew we were there. There was no subterfuge in this at all. When with a lot of the stuff I did, we had a Russian guy named Nikolai that I used to talk to on the radio all the time. He was monitoring me. We played chess on the radio together. Yeah.
That's fun. That's funny. I swear. I have a vendetta against some of the not all Russian people, but the ones that are going around, acting like they're soldiers. They shot my son in Budapest. He took a bullet in the leg while he was over there.
Okay. I'm sorry
And
to hear that.
yeah, I didn't find, how I found out? Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, he was high on morphine and posted it on Facebook after he was done, after they got it
Oh,
out of his leg. I'm like, that's a great way to
well,
find out.
we didn't have Facebook when I was in, so if
Yeah.
there would have been trouble, people would have never known about it unless I came home and told them.
So what made you get out?
It just wasn't working well for me. Clinton got voted in. I didn't like the what changes that were happening in the military at the time, and I made the decision to not re-up and leave. Looking back on it, I wish I would have stayed in. It was 6 years later. I was struggling with coping with the real world as opposed to the military life, and I was having a lot of problems integrating, a lot of anger, and then a couple years after that, we got attacked on 9/11. I tried to reenlist, and they told me my job didn't exist, and I was too old. They didn't want me anymore.
They told you that?
Yep.
That's nice of them.
Yeah.
God.
Still a strong supporter of the military. Our soldiers, they are the lifeblood of this country. They do so much for us that we never hear about. And for me, that is the defense of them and helping soldiers, just veterans in general, have government assistance, have a life worth living, not be committing suicide, not deal with the psychological issues that many of us are dealing with, is a passion of mine. I'm always fighting to try and get the different people in my circle help.
Yeah.
I can't help everyone in the country. I can only help the ones that are near me.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as your family, has your family been helping you try to, pull you back from it? Because I mean, it affects people for a lot of years.
Well, my family is a line of veterans. My father was in Vietnam. My grandfather was Korean World War II. You go back down the line, and it's that way for hundreds of years. And the attitude is always you live with it. You just suck it up, get on, put another foot in front of the other, and just keep on moving. It's no big deal. But we all went through the same thing, waking up with nightmares and lots of anger issues. I didn't want to have kids because I was afraid that my anger issues would influence the children I raised.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, I did marry someone who had kids, and I ended up raising kids. But I never really wanted kids because I was really afraid of making the mistakes that my father made, and that his father made, and his father made before him.
Yeah. So you said you went to Germany, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Germany was a walk in the park. I worked out of a hospital there. I didn't really. It was like a 9 to 5 job. It was really no big deal. The German citizens were really nice to the soldiers that were there. It was really fascinating. The strange thing in Germany was I would meet people that were 16, 18 years old, and they would come up to me and apologize for what Hitler and the Nazis did. I'm like, why are you apologizing to me for something that happened decades ago that
Yeah.
you had no influence on whatsoever? It's not for you to apologize for those things.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of issues in the world, where people from back in the day, I mean, this goes all the way from as far as, that issue with soldiers and with the racism issues and all of that nowadays, that people you really you can say, you're sorry for the things that happened back then, no matter who it is, what cultures, but when you were not particularly like around for that to happen, I don't feel like, what are you going to do? You wasn't there to stop anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? You wasn't there. You wasn't the cause of any issues. So I mean, yeah, why be held accountable for it? You
Right.
know?
We don't punish children for sins of the father, and it's I never have understood that when I've traveled to different places where atrocities have occurred, then you have the generations that follow that continue to apologize for those atrocities when they had nothing to do with them. And it's to me, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, my own personal opinion of that, like topics, any of the topics like that anymore is, I mean, it happened back then. We're
Hmm.
moving forward. And the only way to keep moving forward is if everybody starts letting stuff go. You
Right.
know? So it
I,
doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. I was in Ukraine a few years ago. I was working for the Ukrainian government on a film project for the military there. And I got to see all these different places from the former Soviet Union. They were like here we're tearing down Confederate statues and such. Over there, they're tearing down all the old USSR stuff. And it's fascinating as I was traveling around to these places, most of the families that are tearing the stuff down, it was their grandparents that built them.
Mhm.
And they have a Statue of Liberty called Mother Russia. They had statues that showed the Bolshevik uprising when the Bolsheviks took over. And you got to see all of this history, and then you hit a point where all of a sudden it's just rubble because people have been coming in and destroying it. But if we don't learn from the history, if we don't learn from the mistakes of the past, we are doomed to repeat them, and we are probably going to make worse mistakes moving forward.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't believe like everything has a history. The tearing down of the statues, I thought that was kind of ridiculous because, you know, like you said, if this is just erased, how the
Mhm.
hell is anybody ever going to know about it or
Absolutely.
realize it? So honestly, I think, some of the stuff that goes on with that, the removing, the defacing, the burning, you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous because you cannot erase history because you're basically your ass wouldn't even be here if history didn't
Right.
even happen. You know what I mean? That's the way I feel about it. But you got to learn from it and now you know what not to do.
Yes, and if that history offends you, great. That is awesome. You should be offended by it, and you should learn from it so that you don't do it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It just people they everybody just gets so I mean, I'm sorry. I'm one of them people where I'm kind of caught in the middle between an older generation and the newer, younger generation. And I just some of the stuff I don't get, and this whole thing about what do they say, woke. You know what I mean? Come on. Everybody, people are just people to me.
Right. I'm
I
the same way.
don't care what
Or
color
people,
you are, you're just a person, you
yeah.
know?
As long as you're not hurting anybody or damaging people's property, I support what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the stuff right there I can't stand. Why
Yeah.
go tear up somebody's property? Or why go out and loot and raid? I mean, come on. That right there is just making your cause buy,
Yeah.
basically because nobody's going to be on your side because you look like an idiot, when you're out doing that kind of stuff.
I,
Serious.
yeah.
In this generation, they need to get it together. Seriously. And that's the way I feel about that one. And I've got enough damn kids to know, and I can see how the lines of generate. We 8 kids, man, 8 kids from the ages 27 all the way down to 15. Every line, every generation, you
for
know.
me, for me, it's two kids and six grandkids.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing the same thing.
We have 8 kids, and now we're up to 7 grandkids because one was born today.
Oh,
But I mean, it's just like and I feel really bad about, like the generation now because of them trying to erase everything. Everybody trying to erase it. And then you get this level of they have no clue, you know what I mean? And then how is that going to go on their kids? You
yes.
know, it just I don't know. People need to
Each
get it together.
battle flag, and the battle flag is not understood by the two generations before them. And we see this constant repeat. There are all kinds of issues today that people are rallying behind, and I'm not going to go into specifics.
Yeah.
But if you look at when we were kids, the teenagers then were having their own revolutions, and their grandparents didn't understand it.
The Kiss Army.
I was with that.
That's funny because that's my daughter's middle name.
Is
It's
it?
Kate
Nice.
Kiss,
Okay.
named after the bands.
That Kiss was the first band that I ever got into.
Really?
Yeah. I've never been really into music, but Kiss, when I was younger, that was like my thing. I loved that band.
So much that you get it tattooed on you and your motorcycle and name your daughter after the band?
That much. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, since you were doing the whole Russian thing. And I mean, how do you feel about this whole alien situation that's going on?
I
Or is that classified?
I I feelings. Okay. I do believe that life is out there. And I do believe that the possibility of aliens coming here is a real thing. But I've also read the declassified CIA stuff from the 50s where it was a psyops to convince America that aliens existed as a conspiracy. So I'm kind of not sure where it all falls. Whenever the government starts telling me A, B, and C is happening, I'm like, what's happening that they're not telling me? I start looking around for it. And this whole alien thing, I think, is really just a big distraction for something else that's going on, and we're all missing it. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder because I actually this is the weird part. I've taken well, I went down to Florida recently and I was down there for a week and I actually caught footage
Okay.
of something. I'm not going to say it's an alien because I don't know. It's not like he was waving to me out of a ship, you know what I mean? But there were two things that I caught and then what was ironic is the next day I caught the same two things but they wasn't in the same spot.
Okay.
And this was over open ocean. There's no way in hell it could have been a building.
When I was a child, we were living in Baltimore.
Mhm.
And I remember my father picking me up at school, and we were driving down the road, Moravia Boulevard in Baltimore. And there was a large, the only way I can describe it is a spaceship, because I can't describe it as anything else, hovering over the city. And on the news that night, there was like 30,000 people saw it.
Wow.
Okay. So yes, I do believe there's stuff out there we can't explain. Is it aliens? I don't know. Is it just government experimental craft
Mhm.
that they're pawning off as aliens in the conspiracy world so that we don't look into them more deeply?
Yeah, I don't think the government's even smart enough to hide stuff anymore.
No, no, they're not. But I don't think they ever were. I mean, if you've ever worked with anybody in the government, 9 out of 10 people that work for the government are fucking idiots. Excuse my language, but they
You're
are fucking.
fine. It's all right because like I said, when I do these interviews, they are all, no hold. You know what I mean? It's whatever they want to say. I don't care.
Okay.
Everybody has that opinion. I cuss. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I've cussed quite a few times on the show. But that whole alien thing, honestly, the government knows more than they're gonna say. Period. And now, like, there's everybody has these cameras. These cameras are high tech. Even the ones on our phone, they could not deny that shit if they wanted to deny it. It does not matter.
Absolutely. And the Russians since the 60s have been totally public about aliens.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And did you ever watch the video of when the Viking missions were landing on Mars?
No.
Okay, you can look them up. The Viking missions. I can't remember which Viking mission it was, but one of the Viking missions, they're detaching the vessel is in orbit. And they're detaching the lander that they're dropping down to the planet with the drone on it that they're going to move around to pick up samples. And as they're detaching it, you can see the surface of the planet. There's a flash of light. It looks just like a missile launch. There's a stream of smoke, and then everything blows up.
Damn, I'm gonna have to check that
Yeah,
out.
look it up. That was for me. There was a guy named Zachariah Zeitch, and he wrote a series of books about aliens coming to Earth and teaching ancient civilizations, math, and things like that. And he did a video where he showed that footage was in there, and there was a bunch of footage that the Russians had released from close orbit stuff that it to me looks like sci-fi stuff going on.
Well, I tell you one thing. I hope the aliens weren't the ones that come down here and taught these kids how to do math the wrong way. What is the new thing where you turn one little problem into like stacks? I can't even think of the math that they call it now. It's got
Oh,
a name.
common,
What is it?
common core math.
Yeah, that bullshit. Come on, can't you just
Yeah,
add it up? You don't need 4 minus 2 minus this. Oh my God, come on, stop. You
my
know.
grandkids are coming home with that common core, and the teacher would fail them if they didn't do it
Yeah.
using all the charts that they were creating, even
Mhm.
though they were getting the right answers.
Mhm.
I was like, "What the hell?"
Same issue, man. Same issue. I'm telling you, like she come home wanted me to help her with math. And when I started looking at what they were doing, I was like, what the hell? And I was like, well, here's the answer. Well,
Right.
you got to do it this way, honey. I'm sorry, I can't help you because this is actually the real answer. I don't know what that shit is. So good luck to you. You know?
Math simple thing. It follows set rules. As long as you follow the rules, you will always get the correct answer. Why do we need to change the rules to get the same answer?
To give the parents a headache.
Right. Well, I truly believe it's part of the dumbing down of America. Okay. If you look at our country in our lifetime, you look like, I'm not going to guess your age, but based on the number
44.
okay, I figure you're probably in your 40s. Based on your children, the in just the number of years that we've been alive, social media has become really big and everybody's using devices now. Almost no one reads books anymore. Almost no one knows how to do math anymore. And basic, simple social skills are falling to the wayside. We are becoming a dumber society. I just did a thing with Mensa not that long ago, and they were talking about how the average IQ in the world is 100. The average IQ in Asia is about 108. The average politician's IQ in America is about 112, which really I thought was surprising. But the average American IQ is a 94.
Wow.
Well, 112 IQ is like almost 16 times smarter than the guy with the 94. So this idiot can make that idiot think that he's a genius.
I think they might have the government IQ wrong. That might be like 40,
Yeah,
maybe.
fair enough. I agree with the things that they do often seem that way.
Often.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, when have you attended any of the military, the groups, the organizations or anything like that? Have
I,
you?
I'm a life member in the VFW. I used to be a member of the American Legion, but I didn't like when they started politicizing the Legion, so I walked away from it.
Really?
Yes.
What was that all about?
When you're going to meetings and they're telling you what president to vote for, I said to hell with this place.
Ah, okay. I might understand there might be a little bit more back on that one as far as the legions because I think some of the legions honestly have been overran,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's by veterans either. I think honestly, and I mean this is sad to say because I ride a motorcycle, but I think there's a lot of bikers taking over those legions.
Yeah.
Honest with you, and I know that for a fact because I mean I ride and I know people, but as far as the other organization, like where if somebody came to you right now in the service, where would you send them if they actually needed help? What would be your pick as far as where
The
they should?
VFW for me has been the best. They have offered the best services. I can go to a VFW post, not all of them. There even with the VFW, there are occasional posts that are not going to give you the help you need. So you have to look at where the region you're in. The American might be better for you in your specific region. It's you have to weigh it out. But
Yeah.
for me, VFW has offered camaraderie with veterans. It's offered help when I needed mental or physical aid. They were able to get me the help that I needed, and through different organizations that were not the VA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. My house burned down recently. Okay. We it got hit by lightning. I lost everything I owned. The VFW, the members from them, they contacted me. They got clothes together for me. They told me if I needed furniture or anything like that, they would help me out. If I needed a place to stay, there were members of the VFW that offered me their homes.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. Lightning hit your house?
Yeah, lightning hit my house and it caught fire and the house burned to the ground. I mean, the only thing left standing was the chimney.
Irony. The
Yeah.
freaking chimneys. I mean, it's not funny, but the irony, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty screwed up. I've been a little mad. I've probably been hitting that with a sledgehammer, like, you're coming down too.
I send you a photo, after if you wanna see it, of the chimney. You know how you have your fireplace, you burn stuff in it,
Yeah.
right? Well, the entire outside of the fireplace, the bricks were black. The entire chimney is black. The inside of the chimney looked like it was unchanged from the way it looked when I was sitting in my living room. The
That is
whole house. I mean, I have to laugh at it now. It's been long enough. When it first happened, I couldn't. All I could do.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've been through 3 fires before, and I'll tell you a little story, okay? This is a funny one too. It was around Christmas time, and my mom had put up her tree, and at that time, I think I was going through, like, a breakup with somebody years ago, and me and my sister decided that we were gonna go out. Well, my mom screwed up and put the big bugs on the tree. It should have never been on a real tree ever, okay?
Uh,
And we're driving down, we're like, "Okay, well, let's just go stop at, my dad's or whatever, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do from there." So we're going down this hill and we're on our way. Well, here come all these fire trucks going the opposite direction. I was like, "Yeah, they're probably fucking going to our house." And we go down and visit my dad, and we come back, and when we're back, here's our Christmas tree laying in the middle of the street or right there by it, and you see the tape, and I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, they was going to our house."
that's sad. It's funny but sad.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, luckily, like, the worst because the neighbors up there, that was above my mom at that time, actually had, heard the alarms going off and went down and kicked the door in to get the tree. And
Okay.
worst of her damage though there because it would have took them out too. It was
Yeah.
the smoke damage in the kitchen, so it got all scrubbed down, repainted, and all of that. And she was able to recover. Didn't make it anywhere else. But oh man, and I really I couldn't help but to laugh even when I seen the tree, because I
Right.
was like, what the hell, man?
Well, I'm the same way. You laugh at tragedy. It's a coping mechanism, you know. As long as you don't become cynical to the tragedy,
Yeah.
you're doing fine. But laughing at tragedy. I was a paramedic for a number of years, and I've seen some horrific stuff as a paramedic and as a firefighter. And with that, it's when I first started doing it, it was after doing it for a while, it's all jokes. We'd get there and somebody'd have, half their arm hanging off, and we'd be joking with them while holding the arm and strapping it into place. You know,
It's the only thing, like, it's
yeah,
really they're gonna be laughing about it later anyway, probably for the most part. "Hey, remember
yeah,
that time my arm almost fell off?" You know what I mean? It's gonna come up later on down the line. People don't realize. I mean, yeah, some stuff isn't funny, but I mean, just little errors. I've noticed that, like, what my brother, he had stabbed himself in the hand on accident when they were little, and it was not funny at the time because there was blood everywhere. And
okay,
all of a sudden, they get older, 20 years old, 20 something years old. And hey, remember when we were playing by the trees and I stabbed myself? I'm
right,
like, oh my God, man. No, I remember cleaning up all the blood, as far as that.
yeah,
But oh man, I'm telling
yeah.
you.
See the camera over my shoulder?
Yeah.
That's the only piece of property that survived because it was in my car.
Wow. And those
Yeah,
cameras are not cheap either.
that's true.
They are not cheap at
Mm,
all. So, okay, I'm going to tell you something about there's a live event that somebody brought to my attention last night. Um it's going down in Vegas for veterans. And
okay,
the LA Tribune, it's already on the site, like where it says link to resources on the webpage for Lure. It says it right there, and it's an event in Vegas. It's being covered by the LA Tribune. They're like a sponsor, and it's for a certain amount. I think he said in each category to be able to get up and tell their story, but they have to, I guess, submit the story beforehand. I'm going to find out a little bit more about that tonight.
okay,
So I'm inviting, everybody, even everybody who's watching, if you're a soldier, submit. If they pick your story, then, go from there. But definitely check out them links and, find out what they're
All
all
right.
about for sure. So, your thoughts, what do you think about the military telling you that you were too old to go back after 9/11?
That pissed me off. To say the least, it pissed me off. When 9/11 happened, it was not the day that it happened. It was the very next day I went into that recruiter's office. And they told me that, and I about punched the guy out. I was pissed off. So I went to another recruiter's office, tried again, got the same thing. The third one I went to said that the only way that they would let me back in is if I got the president to write me a letter. Serious. I was like, really? I want to serve. I'm physically capable.
Yeah.
I, while my job might not exist, you can put me in some other job. You don't have to train me. Hell, I was a firefighter and a paramedic at the time.
Yeah, they could have put you in like the nursing. There's
They could have put me in a medic unit. They
yeah.
could have put me foreman. I mean, I already knew how to do the stuff. Plus, I have an amateur radio license. I operated radios in the military. I operated cryptographic machinery. You know, I had
Yeah.
plenty of skills that they could have utilized, but I was too old.
But heaven forbid we actually have a huge war and then they start drafting everybody. And I would have to hand back their little draft and be like, remember when you said I was too old?
Yeah, right.
I'm too old. Sorry,
Yeah. And
That's okay.
for the military saved my life. When I was a kid, I was a thug. I was on a path to a life sentence. I mean, I really was. And the military gave me discipline, it gave me an education, and it made me believe in myself. And the minute I started believing in myself, I was able to get my life in order.
Yeah.
You know, we need young men and women to go in the military today. These young men and women that I'm watching coming out of high school right now, they are not equipped to deal with life. They need something like that. They need structure and they need some toughening too.
Yep. I run my house like a drill camp. You can ask any of my kids.
Good. But how should
Yeah. And they know, I mean, even if they're older, it doesn't matter because disrespect will not fly with me ever.
look after a child is 6 years old, I treat them as an adult. I don't care that they're seven. I don't care that they're eight. I treat them as an adult. I give them the same respect I give an adult, and I expect the same respect back.
So they throw them little fits in the grocery stores. Like
Yeah.
so what's your plans for the future? What's in store for Steve?
Well, right now I'm working on several film projects. I'll be filming up in New Jersey on a movie called The Black Tent. I'm working on another film that we'll be going to Morocco for called Heading West. It's going to be a really cool Western. I wrote it. Then I'm working on a couple television series, but I can't really tell you much about them except one is about pirates and the other is about gamers.
I know all about the secrets of the non-disclosure agreement. Because right now I am doing 13 movies, 4 TV shows, and keeping 3 businesses running. So
That's
it's
a lot. That
yeah.
is a
Yeah, and I mean my assistant is Alexa, and I didn't even get the good Alexa. I got the bitch from South Park, you know?
okay. Well, my assistant is Michelle Brown Houston. It's a Southern firecracker from South Carolina, and she comes up here and helps me a couple weeks every month. And she is a phenomenal worker.
I'm really debating on actually scoping out some interns my damn self.
Yeah,
Because they would at least get credit for whatever they needed to do,
yeah.
and that would work fine for me if I brought in an intern at this point in time. But yeah. So you're gonna be busy with project. That's gonna be fun though when you get to go over there and shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've never been to Morocco, so that'll be kind of cool. Apparently, Morocco has the largest movie studio in the world.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And they
That
don't have all the safety regulations that we do. So if you want to do practical effects, you can really go over the top if you have people that are willing to risk their life.
That's funny. I actually I volunteer to talk to students, and this one little kid, I thought it was funny because he asked me, he was like, "Would you ever be in a Marvel movie or the Marvel movies?" I was like, "If I got to do some stunts,
Yeah,
maybe I would consider that portion of it, but the whole acting and the green screen and all of that, I prefer to do it myself, like motorcycle riding. I prefer to do it myself. Car
right.
driving. I prefer to do it myself, That's just what I like to do.
Same way. And with films, I appreciate practical effects far more than VFX. I want to see because practical effects require skill. There's a lot more skill to taking a car and driving it off a cliff and smashing it into a bus on the way down and not killing anybody in the process. That,
Including the
yeah,
person in the car.
right? You remember the TV show? What was that? The Fall Guy. When we were younger,
Yeah.
I used to love that show. That show had great practical effects. The Watching it today, the stories are half-assed. There's all kinds of continuity errors, but the effects.
Yeah.
I learned so much from watching those old shows, all the old Steve McQueen stuff. You know,
Did they
so
bring back Fall Guy? I thought that came back. Or was that A Team?
are remaking it. Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. I thought it was the A Team that came back. Didn't that come?
Uh, A Team did come back in a movie, but they're supposed to be bringing the Fall Guy back as a series again.
Oh, really?
I heard. I don't know if that's true.
Word on the street.
Yeah. With the strike, I mean, the strike is messing up everything, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, it is. They'll hopefully get it together eventually. I mean, I'm on their side as far as the whole AI thing because
I
I'm
am.
not big on the technology bullshit either. And I don't believe that anybody should own the rights to somebody else's, appearance or voice or whatever they're doing. And
Yeah.
I'm one of the people because that's why I'm operating like independently because it's so much easier. I don't have to deal with bullshit. I don't have to deal with somebody telling me what I can and can't do. I don't have to worry about people trying to take my likeness, you know, and it's a good thing. I'm glad that Fran had all those people, opened it up for the actors to be able to sign the waivers to be able to do the independent films that are not affiliated with them type of people, you know.
Yeah. Now the thing is, if I've been told this by a number of people working for SAG that are SAG members, that if they do work for independent films, that they're asking that nobody mention them being part of the film until the strike is over,
Yeah,
because it takes away from the strength of the strike.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that. But I mean, like on Shattered Dreams, there's people that have been announced and people, but that was before the strike, and there's people that haven't been announced. And there was also some issues about people contacting people that they shouldn't.
I understand.
So I'm at the point now where nothing's going up on IMDb but
Yeah.
my main film people, and
Right.
people are just gonna have to deal with it, you know.
I told that if I mention certain people's names being involved in projects I'm with before the strike is over, that I can expect thugs to show up on my set.
Great, we're back at the Godfather filming.
I'm serious. Hey, oh God, speaking of that, okay. So I told you I did this thing in Ukraine a few years back, right? When I got there, this is really crazy. In order to work there, you have to get permission from the Russian mob.
Really?
Yeah, if you don't pay them off, they will come in and mess your setup. They'll steal your equipment, break your stuff. But if you pay them off, they provide security and nobody will touch your stuff.
Oh my God.
It was such a strange experience. It was like living in another world.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's great. I wouldn't, I don't know. I think at that point I'd find somewhere else to film.
Yeah. Well, like I said, working for the Ukrainian government, so it was just part of doing business.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we are going to thank Mr. Dr. Steve Wollett for coming on. We are definitely going to say thank you for your service. And we are going to jump off of here and let you guys go. Enjoy. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
It's time to strap our boots on. This is a perfect day to die. Wipe the blood out of our eyes. In this life there's no surrender, and there's nothing left for us to do. Find the strength to see this through. We are the ones who will never be broken. With our final breath, we'll fight to the death. We are soldiers, we are soldiers. Shoulder to shoulder, we stand shoulder to shoulder. We stand shoulder to shoulder. You can't erase us, you'll just have to face us. We stand shoulder to shoulder. We stand shoulder to shoulder. We stand shoulder to shoulder. You can't erase us, you'll just have to face us. With our final breath, we'll fight to gonna be a good time catching up. This